with the red armor, those little red plates. It's not really an armor, is it? I mean, it doesn't protect much, but it's all very technological. All very high tech. You may notice he's got little holes and bits and lights and thingamabobs everywhere. All those little lovely details. It's fine. We're gonna paint them all. It will be beautiful. Now we paint solid. This is red and nothing else. This is a bit fiddly. Fiddly it is, because it's a very small surface in between his glove and his skin. Maybe 1 or 2 millimeter wide. I don't know what it is in inches, sorry. I'm all metric here. There. And paint that in red. Probably going to, go up to here. On his knuckles, see? There. And on the other arm, there's all that. Yeah. Boy, this guy, he's got lots of little grooves and lines everywhere, even on his muscles. It's very detailed, as with most individual Infinity miniatures and the ones that come in several parts, at least. He's got lots of little grooves in between his armor plates. He's very groovy. There. I'm not talking much right now because I'm focusing really focusing on that knee. There. Lovely. And now, as usual, I have forgotten some of the grey area, and I've drooled over some of it as well. So we'll correct that right now. why are we correcting that right now instead of at some later time? Because it's always better to correct your mistakes immediately when you make them. Otherwise, you might forget about them, or they might come back to haunt you. It's better to correct it because you're going, you've noticed, and I've told you, that I'm going from the skin up. I'm pinning this from the skin up. That way it minimizes the risk of overstepping the boundaries. When you do the skin and you overstep, then you know you're going to paint the clothes anyway later on, so it's okay. When you do the clothes later on, you overstep on over the armor, then you don't have to, you only have to worry about overstepping on the stuff you've already done, not the stuff you're going to do. You see, it minimizes the risk of that kind of stuff. At least it does for me, you know. Again, paint what you like, paint the way you like, and you will be a lot happier for it. Now I think we'll paint yes, now I think we'll paint this in Thornwood green. We're going to paint the little mittens in Thornwood green, as well as some of the straps he has on his chest. Putting some on my palette here, just a little bit, we don't need much. These are very small surfaces. Wipe it off, otherwise your table gets awfully dirty. Always try to be clean when you paint. When you do anything, actually. So, his little mittens here. Thornwood green. A very dilute coat, as you can see. That way it's clear. And yeah, that's not too bad. Goes very well with the grey. And it complements the rest very well. Complements the red and the blue. The laws of harmony, if you can believe there is such a thing, suggest, rather than impose, that there is that you can that it's better to have only 3 colors on your miniature, 3 colors per character, 3 main nuances that will somehow contrast with each other and harmonize the whole miniature. Otherwise the colors clash a lot. Three main colors, and then maybe some more nuances for the details, but they don't count. They're just here to complement the 3 main colors. One day, possibly we may talk about contrast and the color wheel and that sort of thing, but that's not the subject at hand. I'm only mentioning this because the green here, the thornwood green, I'm just putting it in because I need a darker color for the mittens, and I need something that's complementing the red and the grey and the yellow we are going to use later on the armor. The yellow being also in correlation, so to speak, with the skin color, which isn't exactly yellow, but it's some sort of a tan color. This is all true, by the way. I'm not making this shit up as I go. Harmony is important to achieve a good miniature, unless your purpose, of course, is to paint something that purposefully clashes, such as one of the Games Workshop Harlequins from the Eldar range, or perhaps something from Chaos, from Slaanesh, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. By the way, I said shit. I'm sorry. Get over it. So, continuing on here, see with the little mittens, we're done with that, and then he has little straps here on his flanks. See how that goes. It goes so very well. Here he has a belt. The belt will be also in this green leathery color, the thornwood green. Remember, only paint the belt, only paint the little sections in between the belt loops of his pants, because we're going to paint his pants another color. We're going to paint his pants blue, like perhaps blue jeans. Yeah, he's got monkey pants. I'm just correcting a little of the irregularities of my blue coat here. There's nothing to worry about. I'm going ahead with the green. Don't you worry, I haven't forgotten anything. Even if I had, it wouldn't be so bad. Doing his little hand here. Ooh. Well, it's okay if I go over the red slightly, because this is a very thin coat of thornwood green, and it won't cover the red, really. It'll only sort of shade it a little, which is okay. I mean, we want it shaded anyway. Maybe not with that color, but it's not too bad. Not forget to paint in between the fingers. It's tricky, but hey, that's what you got to do. I think we'll base coat his quarterstaff now as well, in that thornwood green color, because his quarterstaff is going to be somewhat black. Somewhat. And I think the thornwood green, yes, it's not always what I'd recommend, but in that case it will go quite well. It's a very dark olive green, which could serve perfectly well for this black quarterstaff. It's not going to be wholly black anyway. We're going to have it shaded because, as you well know, in nature there is no such thing as one color. There is no such thing as pure black, pure white. Well, there is such a thing as pure black. It's when you can't see anything, but then there's no point in that. His quarterstaff is less than it's about 1 millimeter wide. It's really, really fine. Just like his monkey tail. I am absolutely amazed by the level of detail. I will never say it enough. I'm amazed by the level of detail shown on those miniatures. It really is a challenge. Then again, when you paint a miniature with that much detail, details are very fine things. They don't take a lot of time to paint. We painters don't spend as much time, paradoxically, even if we care about it more. We don't spend as much time painting those details as we would do a nice blending on a large surface, such as on a Dreadnought or a Warjack. Dreadnoughts from Games Workshop, Warjacks from Privateer Press, obviously. You'll find that once you get yourself sorted with the basics, you know, undercoat, shading, that sort of thing, the details are pretty straightforward because, you know, it's just a little dab of paint here and there. And you don't even have to do them all, really. We could easily paint the whole quarterstaff black and be done with it. I mean, it would look good. But, well, I'm a show-off. And you know, this is an opportunity for you to learn things, so I have to do my best. My best under the circumstances, my best in one sitting. Usually you'd spend some more time on a miniature. Probably spend some people spend weeks, 70, 80 man hours per miniature, more on a diorama. What was the color for the hair? Yes, I think I'll have earth, simple earth tone. The guy has some dreadlocks, so earth tones are perfect. And since it's also covered in hair, I'll use that as well for the monkey tail. Let's center his face. There. See? He has a little goatee. And it's a nice earth color that goes very well with the skin tone we've used. It's a yellowish earth. He has sideburns a little, but many of these worlds, sci-fi worlds, etc., they're very, very Western, and most of the minis are pretty much what you'd call white or Caucasian, you know. And it's refreshing to have a certain variety. For example, in the Infinity universe. It forces me to think about the colors I'm going to use for the skin. I like it. You may not, on the other hand, but then again, you may not be as serious as I am with your painting, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a whole range of flesh tones out there. Elf skin tone, dwarf skin tone, the Cardic Flesh from Privateer Press on the P3 range. I'm just painting up the tail now. As you can see, we're still working with light coats of paint. If I could find the right angle to show you what I'm doing. Painting underneath the tail, right there. The tail is going all over the place, because that's the Monkey King. Loves to fight. Any resemblance between this model and that Asian story with the monkey and the little boy priest and the pig would be a terrible coincidence, wouldn't you think? Especially since I've painted him in the exact color scheme. I think we're pretty much done with that tail and hair and stuff. Oh, forgot a little bit of thornwood green right there. Sorry. It's here. My coat isn't exactly uniform. I must absolutely correct that before moving on to the next step, because I'm weird that way. Because I like everything done in order, you know. So a little a second coat of thornwood green on the quarterstaff on his stick. There. Heavenly. And now we're going to do his pants. And we're going to use sort of a that's one of the Prince August range, Vallejo now range. That's Bleu Horizon. That's the blue they used for World War I French uniforms. Ooh, little accident in the studio. They used it for French uniforms. It's horizon blue, sort of a grayish blue with a perhaps a tinge of lavender. It's here, right here, you see? And that I think that it's a nice subdued blue-gray that is very much akin to well-worn blue jeans, if shaded correctly. And here we go, painting up his little crotch here. My paint has separated a little on my palette, but never mind that. I hate it when it does that. If at all possible, use paint that does not separate. Unfortunately, that's also difficult to spot in shops. All brands tend to sometimes have pots that with paint that separate, and nothing you can do about it. And once you've bought the paint, you're obviously not going to go and buy a new one just because, when all you have to do is remix or reshake the pot, remix the paint a little with the tip of your paintbrush. It's a minor annoyance. Don't worry though, it doesn't separate on your miniature, usually. I'm painting his pants, I'm painting the little straps of his pants. The Nomads, he's very working class. He has little casual working class elements on his costume, so to speak, as many of the Nomads miniatures. Many of them are have high-tech pieces of armor and such, but they're also a bit casual, also a bit working class. I like that about them. I'm not talking about politics here, but I like the fact that the Infinity background is rich enough so that they managed to include sort of an anarcho-socialist trend in the Nomads. It's something that is not done very often. It's actually, I think it's never been done in a miniature game before. And to have such a rich, complex and realistic, let's not deny it, realistic background, very humane, very realistic, very logical from our own history, you know. That's one of the great strengths of the Infinity storyline. It may not be as operatic as other universes, but it's a lot more realistic and a lot less rubbish, so to speak. Still doing the pans here, correcting any of the irregularities in the code I've already done. You'll see I'm constantly turning the mini around, not necessarily in the way it's supposed to sit, just to access to the difficult parts and to paint them, you know. This is a bit tricky to get underneath there and still not overstep. I don't know if overstepping is quite the right word, but you know what I mean. You'll notice that here the details are a little sketchier on the miniature, on the back, at the birth of its tail. I have to say this is because I had a little accident with the glue when I was putting the mini together, but normally the details here are just as smooth and lovely as on the rest of the miniature. This is quality work indeed. And the mold lines were very few indeed, which is always good. There, we've done his pants. Aren't they pretty? Aren't they? Well, yes they are. Damn right they are. We should do a little more grey actually. The cold grey I was telling you about earlier. Not sure we've painted that up. Well, may have, but it's not enough. It should be slightly darker. When you realize you've got something to correct, then don't hesitate. Go right ahead. Correct it. Now is always the best time. There. Now we're going to we're going to paint we're going to base coat at least his armor and the little ribbons or pieces of cloth that hold his hair together. I am now shaking my yellow. This is Cygnus yellow from Privateer Press. A nice, dense yellow.